So God has been definitely bringing me closer to fulfilling somewhat of a vision that He would have planted within me. And I'm not too sure on what it exactly is. And I know it has something to do with being in His Word more so that I can speak from a place of His heart, and while I was wrestling with God on Him telling me what to say and telling me what to do, like I was saying plain, I don't just want to speak freely. I need a message. I need a topic. Don't let me just open the Bible just as is. I want you to help me navigate and think of something that I have to look for it in the Word and then relate to it. And then I was like, what is the message? What message? And it literally dropped in my heart. He literally said to me, I want women to know I love them. I want them to know that I love you just as you are. And I'm like, how am I going to do that? And I'm like, do I say, well, Jesus died on the cross for you, and God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son. And as much as the word is so powerful, I was like, no, not that. And I'm like, God, not that. Because somehow that scripture, we believe that as believers. Because we know that. Somehow we know it. When you get saved and you're baptized and you read the word, you know that God so loved the world that He sent His only begotten Son, Jesus, to die on the cross for us. But for the person who is not saved, is not in church, who knows there's a God, but somehow doesn't feel like they know God deeply, intimately, in a real way, how do I say that? And when I expressed that to God, I was like, don't be mad at me. Don't be mad. But not that. Give me something else. And it's like I saw Him smile and He rocked back in a kind of way and was like, all right, Cherise, so what about the woman at the well? And I was like, yes, that's more like it. Because somehow that's more relatable. Somehow I could connect with that, and I know you could connect with that. I know she's a vibe, She's a vibe, you're a vibe, the place is a vibe, everything is a vibe. And I know I can do that. I felt like it was a part of me. I felt like it was natural for me to speak about that and connect it to the world and connect it to what you might be feeling and what fears you may be having. So I went into the scriptures and of course I read John 4. And that's really the story of the Samaritan woman. So I am going to read and I'm also going to talk. And I can't promise you to read the entire story because I'll stop where I see I should stop and I'll interject. Now Jesus learned that the Pharisees had heard that He was gaining and baptizing more disciples than John. Although in fact it was not Jesus who was really baptizing the people, His disciples were. So He left Judea and went back once more to Galilee. Now, I would not be called Cherise if I did not make mention to the fact that when you're a good leader, Jesus is such a good leader that he was able to impart His knowledge, His teachings, his power onto his disciples, onto his circles, his friends, and be able to trust them, that he don't have to supervise and overlook, so that he could have gone on to do other things in other places. I think that's amazing. And that's the kind of leader I want in my life, leading me. So we know, even if you don't know Jesus, you know he's a credible leader. Moving on. Now, he had to go through Samaria. So, usually going to Galilee, you don't have to pass through Samaria. You don't have to. Because the Jews normally wouldn't pass through Samaria. And Jesus was indeed a Jew. But the thing is, Jesus is not afraid to go anywhere. He would not refrain from walking through a certain area. He is Jesus. He can do that. And he'll go anywhere, through anything, to meet with us. And that's love. There is no boundary with location or geography. It doesn't matter. If he wants to see us, he'll come. So he came to a town in Samaria called Sychar. Now, I know the meaning of Sychar is drunkenness. You know? And it's so funny of what is really going to take place in this story when the name of the place really signifies drunkenness. But he came to a town called Sychar, near the plot of ground Jacob had given to his son Joseph. So Jacob's well was there. And Jesus, tired as he was from the journey, sat down by the well. It was about noon. Now, first of all, Jacob's name means supplanter, usurper, snatcher, seizer. So again, I just think that Jesus is such a orchestrated lover, leader, pursuer being. You think it's by chance that he goes to a place called usurper, supplanter, in an area where, in a town named after drunkenness. Well, let's see. When a Samaritan woman came to draw water, Jesus said to her, "Will you give me a drink?" His disciples had gone into the town to buy food. The Samaritan woman said to him, "You are a Jew, and I am a Samaritan woman. How can you ask me for a drink?" For Jews do not associate with Samaritans. Now, I said about a minute ago that because Jesus was tired from the journey, he sat down by the same well, and it was like midday, it was noon. Now, I know you don't really know about Samaritan women, but let me tell you. Samaritan women usually would come and fetch their water early in the morning or late in the evening when sun is setting. Because, think about it. Back in those days, people wearing clothing that would cover them from head to toe, and the place kind of hot. But at noon, she now coming for her water. And it's not a coincidence that at noon, Jesus is there. The timing was perfect. The timing is ideal. It's not a mistake. She knows why she's going there at noon. just as Jesus knows he's going there at noon. So wherever you are, right now is the perfect time. Not putting too much focus on what you're doing, who you're with, or what you're about. Just understand that where you are right now, in the middle, smack in the middle of it all, it's the perfect time. The Samaritan woman said to him, "You are a Jew, I am a Samaritan woman. How can you ask me for a drink? For Jews do not associate with Samaritans." Now, I'm not going to go into all of that as to why they're not so good. But it's, it's a territorial thing. All right? So Jesus answered her, "If you knew the gift of God and who it is that asks you for a drink, you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water." So the woman answered, "You have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. Where can you get this living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob, who gave us the well?" Now, let me just say this. When you think Jesus is not equipped for you, when you think it's impossible to be satisfied because you limiting what he can do, he'll blow your mind. He'll show you. He'll show you that he's quite capable, that he doesn't need what you think he needs. And he'll be consistent, he'll be fulfilling, he'll be sufficient and efficient. So she's asking that, are you greater than the well, than Jacob himself, who gave the well and drank from it himself, as did also his sons and his livestock? So Jesus answered, "Everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again. But whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst. Indeed, the water I give them will become in them a spring of water welling up to eternal life." Everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again. Wherever you are getting satisfaction and glory and verification and sufficiency, it shall disappear. It will always be temporary. That hole that you're trying to fill, that void, will return. But whoever drinks the water that Jesus pours out into you, you will be full. You will be content. You will be loved. You will be sufficient. You will be whole. And you will never need the things that you think you needed. You will never need validation. You will never need people to try and fill empty voids when he is not a person. So therefore, it's a supernatural fulfillment that you will experience. Indeed, the water I give them will become in them a spring of water, welling up to eternal life. We know a spring is the source. We know a spring is never ending and never runs dry. It's the natural source of water. Like, Water flows into the ocean, into rivers. Water flows from the taps and into the dams, from the dams to the taps. But who pours into the spring? God made the spring. God made it wet and moist, full of life and flowing. And he's saying to us here that we will have a spring within us, meaning we shall never run dry, meaning there'll always be new source of life, things being birthed from us, things bubbling within us. The woman said to him, "Sir, give me this water so that I won't get thirsty and have to keep coming here to draw water." Now, the thing is, she keeps coming there to draw water at noon when all the other women aren't there. Now, Samaria, the meaning of Samaria, which is where she was from, is called Watchtower or Watch Mountain. So we know that this is a very high, tall hill. The location of this is very high in the air, overlooking the neighboring cities. So therefore, people can see you. You're exposed. You're in the light. So if people can see you, it means people will judge you. And you know what's another word for Samaria? Palestine. And another word for Palestine is Philistine. So the Philistines, and the meaning of the word Philistine is those who dwell in villages. So we already know it's some real small town vibes. So they are high up in the air, higher than any other lands around them. And it's small town villages. Oh no. So let's continue. So Jesus told her, go call your husband and come back. Now Jesus knows exactly who she is and what's going on, obviously, because that's Jesus, right? That's Jesus. So this is Jesus really just, I would say, like poking some spots here now. Not to provoke, but to like say, "Ma'am, I know you." So he know damn well she ain't have no husband. So she said, "I have no husband." So Jesus said to her, "You're right. When you say you have no husband, the fact is you have had 5 husbands and the man you now have is not your husband. What you have just said is quite true." Again, Jesus knows everything. He knows your intimate, intricate parts. He knows your whole scene. He knows what you're doing, what you're not doing. He knows what you're doing behind closed doors when people not looking, when people want to see you and judge you. He also knows what you do in your privacy, good and bad. "Sir," the woman said, "I can see that you are a prophet. Our ancestors worshipped on this mountain. But you Jews claim that the place where we worship is in Jerusalem." So remember, I told you that it's really a territorial thing, the reason why they aren't good. The Jews and the Samaritans, right? So this is where they mention that. So she's basically acknowledging that, okay, clearly you're a man of God. Clearly he is some kind of prophet or something like that, But like, what are you doing here? So woman, Jesus replied, "Believe me, a time is coming when you will worship the Father neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem. You Samaritans worship what you do not know. We worship what we do know. For salvation is from the Jews. Yet a time is coming and has now come when the true worshippers will worship the Father in the Spirit and in truth. for they are the kind of worshipers the Father seeks. God is spirit, and his worshipers must worship in the spirit and in truth. Listen, it's not about where you are. It's not about who you are. It's not about what you're doing. It's not about what you think you need to do. All you have to do is say, okay, I'm willing. All you have to do is invite him. Offer him a drink. Come on, a man. Offer him something to drink. And in return, you will receive the living water. And before you know it, your worship shall become truthful. Your worship shall not be what you think it needs to be or how it needs to be. You would not have to try and build up the courage to perfect yourself, to be able to now entertain or have a conversation with Jesus. You wouldn't have to, because you have welcomed him, and he will do the quenching of your thirst. He will allow the water to run through your entire body. He will do it. And that will be enough to make changes in you on his own timing, at your own pace. And the thing is, there is a time that it will be so urgent and necessary for you to be deep in a relationship with God. And when you meet people, you don't meet them and marry them overnight. You don't meet people and move in the next day. But you meet people and at least get to know them and allow them to get to know you. And that's where it starts. And as that relationship, when you meet someone and as it develops, you might make some changes to yourself because you realize that the other person is not as welcoming to certain things, and because it will make you a better person, you are willing to try. And that is what is going to happen when he gets to know you and likes you, and you realize he's into you and he loves you. And you realize that he's worth it. That he backs you up. That he's present. That he's patient. That he's gentle and kind to you. You're going to want to do better. You're going to want to evolve. You're going to be hungry to change. And you'll change what you need to change at that particular point in time. And you'll be in real intimacy. You'll be wrapped up. You'll be developing a beautiful bonding relationship with you and Jesus. And before you know it, you'd look back and be like, wow, who is that? Look at my change. Look at my transformation. And then you'll realize who Jesus really is. So after Jesus said all of that there, the woman replied, I know that Messiah called Christ is coming. And when he comes, he will explain everything to us. And Jesus declared, I, the one speaking to you, I am he. Jesus will reveal himself to you in a way that no one can try and convince you of who he is, because you know him for yourself. You know him for yourself. I'm telling you, you do not have to try and perfect yourself. That's going to be real hard. You do not have to try and strip yourself and take things off and become better and do good, before you can present yourself to Christ, He loves you right now. He loves you just as you are. He wants to get to know you, and He wants you to know Him and how He feels about you. He's so real, and He wants to be so real to you. He wants to be a big part of your life, the key part of your life. He wants to be alone with you. He wants to feel what it's like to be on the receiving end of your loyalty, of your faithfulness. He wants a relationship. If this has blessed your heart in any way, if this has added value to your life, do your part and share with someone else. And don't forget to like, share your views under the comments, subscribe, and turn on your post notifications so that you can stay up to date when I send a next message. Be blessed.